he had a couple of spots in between this. But just before we get to that, what did you think? Because we're talking about Michael Cole, and I was interested to think, well, this guy is always on WWE TV. He's under that sort of regime. He must have felt like he had a night off just to actually call matches, move for move, rather than having to do all the other stuff. Maybe I very much doubt, even if Triple H was in Gorilla, I doubt he probably put too much down for Michael Cole to have to say in his ear all night. You know what I mean? I think he would have been having the night off. Nigel McGuinness, I thought was very... there were a few moments with Nigel McGuinness. I'm not too sure what I make of him as a commentator. I know Nigel McGuinness well. We saw him at Ring of Honor, of course, Matt, not long ago. Yeah. Shows how times changed, doesn't it? But yeah, he was an interesting one. What I really found fascinating is when we got to see Neville, who was a nice added addition, I'll say that much, go up against Tommy End. I don't know if you noticed, Matt, but at the end of it, when he done the main event, Michael Cole, well, first of all, McGuinness says, when they're going through the replay, they're saying, no, there's the shooting star. He's calling it, by moves, and then Michael Cole quickly jumps in and says, no, that's the red arrow, whatever they call it. And he was trying to kind of cover up all the time, but McGuinness was just sticking to the moves. As I found, I thought, wow, at least actually gonna go with that. I thought that was quite funny. Like, it was non WWE kind of talk, literate, shall we say. It was more just like normal commentators would wrestle on a match. What did you make about Neville being there, Matt? Because obviously he got a great reaction, and I've been impressed since the heel turn. But a nice little added part, I guess, Matt, just to sort of have an in-betweener kind of match going on.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering how they would do that rest spot when the two wrestlers are getting ready for the last match, how they're going to extend that period and make a break. But that was a great idea. Whoever came up with that, it was a win-win situation for everybody. The fans got to see Neville, and of course, we always welcome Neville back. Yep. He's extremely talented, and we're proud to say that he's British because when you have a talent like that, it's great to see him come back and wrestle in his own country. So that was great. And then of course, I bet you Neville enjoyed being there himself because he got one hell of a great reaction. Even though he's supposed to be a bad guy. I don't think anyone's going to boo him in that building.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and it was Tommy End. I think it was one of his first debut, in fact, in WWE since they've signed him up. Be interesting to see how he does on NXT. It's worth noting as well there were a couple of dark matches as well, Matt, before the show went on air. And Nathan Cruz was involved, another big British wrestler that a lot of fans will know that listen. He was recently in NXT as well, so I've got a feeling that there's definitely traction going on with WWE trying to sign some more names up in all this. Next out, Matt, we got of course was Finn Balor, Matt, which was a nice was nice as well. We knew he was involved in all this, probably kind of anticipated him coming out anyway at some point. But I've got to say this as well as a side note, Matt. The crowd reaction, the chants and everything was very unique, even for UK standards. In the 2 nights done, it was an amazing job, and I loved it when he said, you deserve it. And the crowd was like, we do deserve it. It's like. It was really, really well done. Some unique stuff, and yeah, Finn Balor, of course, was there. I thought maybe we were going to get a little bit more of an announcement about what the future plan is, but we didn't get that, Matt. Like, they seem to be keeping that close to their chest at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to find out. So many different ways they could take it. I just hope that it's used as a British title, so that we can have that here and get more British talent across. It would seem like a great idea just to have something like an NXT kind of product over here in England. Yeah. But that's just wishful thinking. We know how WWE is. You can't pin too many hopes on that kind of thing.
Yeah, you got to be. And of course, the main event we got, which I just thought, well, how can these two guys outdo what they've already done? And of course, in classic King of the Ring terminology, Matt, that when we watch Brett go through, you go through 3 different matches. I felt like they done an amazing job. It was like you build and build and build, and then all matters about the last thing you see that night. Is it going to be the best thing, or is it going to be a flat match just to get the result out of the way with, and that you're just going to try and leave it on that. I felt like this was very well executed, and again, my hat's off to Pete Dunne. He worked a great heel in this. And the thing is, to be a good baby face, you have to have a good heel. That's part of it as well. And he done everything right. I think there was no point in that where fans were turning or anything like that. I felt like they went along for the ride just as much as I did at home. And I were sucked in by it. I think they've really done a great job at that. Whoever constructed that match. Hats off to them, and of course Tyler Bate, just amazing. Some of the manoeuvres in it, timings and everything was very, very well executed. There was enough of everything in it. There was some, the usual WWE antics, showmanship, and again, great wrestling, some good chain wrestling going on. And of course, man, it was that classic underdog story, and I thought, well, how many more times can we see that? But I really enjoyed it, and I don't like always comparing things, but because it has recently come up, I know that when we spoke about World of Sport, Matt, that's similar to what they were going for, wasn't it? In terms of we want the underdog to come back by the end of the night and win it, and they had Grado go through everything. But I felt where theirs fell short slightly was that main event. It definitely didn't, bell to bell. It didn't have what this match had, where you felt like he really earned that spot. He really earned that title. What was your take from the main event match, and just how good was that match, Matt? Because I know it's when you talk about it early, it's very easy to go, yeah, it was the greatest match we've ever seen. But in terms of what we do normally see, Matt, how good was that from two wrestlers that nobody really knows that much about, especially the American audience?
Yeah, I think that was one of the key factors of it. We're going into this, and I hadn't seen these guys wrestle, so I was thinking, okay, let's give it a go. Apart from the previous matches in the tournament, but when they actually got going, it was so good, and it's so nice to be surprised for one when you actually watch it. Because a lot of time you come into wrestling with a high expectation, and then you can get let down by whatever they're doing, disqualifications or whatever. There was none of that. This was all about showcasing the British talent. And what also was great was you spoke about the underdog story, and it's getting a little bit tired. They do it too often now. But if you're going to do it right, and they did. They did exactly right. To the point where, all the time before when we see these underdog stories, you think, oh, okay, the good guy's going to win. This is just about showing us the struggle before he wins. But during that main event, I was actually thinking that Dunne was going to win. I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is a good way of making Bate look good, but also putting the belt on Dunne. So I was thinking, okay, that's the way we're going to go. But then it's so good to actually go through that match and then get to the end and then be completely surprised and think, wow, he actually did do it. So that was the emotion they wanted the fans to feel, and actually making me feel that way was actually a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, they've done it. They've done it really spot on, and fans were, really buying into it. The finish was excellent. I felt like there was some a few near falls, and but they've done such a good job. And again, a lot of the fans probably weren't used to seeing those finishes. So whereas WWE guys come in, everybody anticipates the finisher, but with this, you kind of don't, which is kind of nice in a way. It's a bit like the match that Pete done before, where he threw the guy into the the turnbuckle bit, Matt,
yeah.
and that's unusual to get a pin like that after something like that. But I thought, at last they can actually use something else to win a match. It doesn't just have to be the typical finisher, and I would rather WWE does that a bit more often, because otherwise, a lot of the times when you're especially when you're in the live audience, you just anticipate, and you're going to yourself, well, they haven't done their finishes yet, so we know it's not going to be the end. It's that kind of thing. It's always one of those things where it's difficult, but when you know it so well, Matt, when you go to a live show sometimes, especially WWE, and they do something like a suplex, and then they go for a pin early on. You know that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And you feel like shouting at the wrestler, like, you've got to fit your finisher first. You want to scream at them. But because sometimes we're just waiting for those moments, the typical things.
That's one of the things that I don't like about Michael Cole is when we see him and he's like, oh my God, he's like, they've thrown everything at each other. What's it going to take? Look at the frustration on his face. He can't think of how to put him away. And then, like you said, you're thinking, do a special. Why not?
Yeah, it's like playing a video game. The psychology there. Yeah, but overall, I was really, really, really a nice surprise, really welcome surprise. I felt WWE done a great job of keeping to the tradition, keeping it different. I didn't feel like they forced anything to happen WWE style, and I felt like they were trying to put something on unique, even away from NXT. Like I felt like this was going to be like NXT or that cruiserweight thing that we had, the tournament, but it was different from all that, Matt. It was its own identity, which is really important, and this could have its own place. Like I would love to see, as Matt said, our own version of a weekly show here, and imagine the sort of potential, Matt, that you could have. You could have maybe a crossover show with NXT guys, once a year or something like that, where they're trading stars or having like a tournament against one another. There's just so many different avenues coming out of this. I can't imagine, Matt, that there's any negative come out of this at all, and WWE are not thinking to themselves, this has to happen now as a network exclusive. This is good content. Again, I had loads of emails coming in and people emailing me about it. That I had emails coming in from that they'd received WWE Network feedback, stuff like polls and things, about questionnaires about what they would like to see on their network. And they were all things like, would you like to see TNA on it? Would you like to see Ring of Honor? Would you like to see British Wrestling? Would you like to see Lucha Libre? All the rest of it. And I kind of feel like, Matt, that WWE might not go out their way to sign up a promotion, but what they can do, what they probably would like to do, is have their own umbrella over their own promotion, but of course in a different territory. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation, Matt, but it's almost like WWE are having to go back on their own kind of doing and having a kind of territory system to pick new talent, like to get the talent. Like they used to, but of course it's going to be under one umbrella. But they're having to do that kind of thing where you have to set up bases all over the place to get it. So yeah, all I can hope for is that this does bring on that weekly show, Matt. I mean, I can't see anything but positive. I'm hoping that I'm really hoping, because the thing that got me, Matt, is, I don't know if you noticed it, but by the time Triple H got in the ring and gave the belt to Tyler Bate, I thought, wow, there's a bit of a size difference here. And if he gets on that WWE TV too soon, I can't think how they may expose it a little bit. And it might be too fast for all that. But I don't know how they handle it. We've got a UK champion, a WWE UK champion. We're coming into the Royal Rumble. It's a very busy time of the year for WWE. Have they got time to set up something here, or do you think we'll be waiting, Matt, till post WrestleMania now because of the big build up to the biggest show of the year, of course?
Yeah. Well, you're thinking the guy has title now, so when someone wins the title, the kind of first thing you're thinking about is, well, when is that title going to get defended? We had this kind of little bit of mystery before they revealed what they were going to do with the cruiserweight title. I mean, we knew they were going to win a title tournament thing, but then they were actually presented with a title, and they were like, oh, by the way, you can come on to Raw. So maybe it's a little bit of a surprise. Maybe some more details may be revealed on Raw or something. I mean, Triple H might be there on this one. I'm not sure, but I just can't wait to find out what happens. I mean, I know, like you said, it is a busy time for them, but if they're going to go ahead and put this tournament out right now, then surely they should have come up with a plan about what to do after. Hopefully, I mean,
yeah.
they've got enough stuff on the network as it is. I'm sure one more thing wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, worst case scenario, Matt, is we see a division on the back end of Raw or something, defended in America.